Welcome back to the channel where we remember the stars who once lit up our screens and became part of our lives. Today, we look back at one of the most beloved British sitcoms of all time, Keeping Up Appearances, and the unforgettable actors who brought laughter, charm, and personality into millions of homes. As the years have passed, many of those familiar faces are no longer with us. Some passed away quietly, others after long battles with illness or old age, but each one left behind memories that can never be replaced. This episode is not just a tribute to their work, but a way of honoring their spirit, what they gave to the show, and what they gave to us. Whether it was a lead role or a single guest appearance, these actors made an impact. And though their time has ended, their legacy still lives on every time someone presses play. So today, with heavy hearts and deep respect, we remember them one by one. Shirley Stelfox, a remarkably talented British actress whose legacy left an indelible mark on the world of television, theater, and film, and whose passing on December 7, 2015, at the age of 74, after a short but fierce battle with cancer, brought deep sorrow to fans and colleagues alike. Born on April 11, 1941, in Dukinfield, Cheshire, Shirley's early life was shaped by resilience. Overcoming bilateral amblyopia, she pursued her dream of acting with unwavering determination, training at the prestigious RADA alongside legends like Edward Fox and John Thaw. While her career spanned more than 5 decades, Shirley is perhaps most widely celebrated for her portrayal of Edna Birch in Emmerdale, a stern yet deeply moral character whose iconic hats and unwavering principles made her a cornerstone of the soap for 15 years. Yet it was her earlier, vibrant turn as Rose, the flirtatious, flamboyant sister of Hyacinth Bucket in the first series of Keeping Up Appearances, that showcased Shirley's exceptional comedic timing and daring spirit, even though she left the role after the first season due to scheduling conflicts. Her performance left a lasting impression, and Rose remains a beloved character to this day. Shirley's versatility as an actress knew no bounds. She played everything from Shakespearean heroines on stage, such as Lady Macbeth and Titania, to bold, unconventional roles in films like 1984 and Personal Services, where she portrayed characters far removed from her soap personas. Her television career was a rich tapestry, with appearances in Coronation Street, The Bill, Brookside, EastEnders, Crossroads, and many more, always bringing authenticity and depth to every role, no matter how large or small. Off-screen, Shirley was known for her warmth, humor, and fierce loyalty, especially to her late husband, actor Don Henderson, with whom she shared nearly 2 decades of marriage until his death in 1997. When Shirley passed away peacefully at her home, with her beloved daughter Helena by her side, tributes poured in from across the entertainment industry. Her Emmerdale colleagues remembered her as a mentor and friend, while millions of fans mourned the loss of the no-nonsense, hat-wearing Edna Birch, whose tough exterior belied a compassionate heart. Shirley once said she had never committed to a long-term role until Edna, but in doing so, she carved out a beloved place in television history. Whether commanding the stage in Oscar Wilde and Shakespeare or warming hearts and stirring laughter in living rooms across Britain, Shirley Stelfox's contribution to the arts was vast and profound, and her presence, both dignified and daring, will be deeply missed but never forgotten. Clive Swift, The esteemed English actor and songwriter passed away on February 1, 2019, just days before his 83rd birthday, after a short illness at his home, surrounded by family. Though he had a wide-ranging and distinguished career on stage and screen, Swift is most fondly remembered as the quietly exasperated yet endearing Richard Bucket in the iconic BBC sitcom Keeping Up Appearances, where he played the long-suffering husband of the ever-aspiring Hyacinth, played by Patricia Routledge. Over the course of more than 40 episodes between 1990 and 1995, Swift's portrayal of Richard, patient, dryly witty, and perpetually on the edge of losing his cool, offered viewers a relatable human anchor amidst Hyacinth's relentless social climbing. Born in Liverpool on February 9, 1936, to a Jewish family, Clive was the son of furniture store owners and was educated at Clifton College before studying English at Gonville and King's College, Cambridge. It was there he began acting, later joining the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1960, where he remained for nearly a decade, working alongside giants like Helen Mirren and Vanessa Redgrave. His classical training and deep love for the craft earned him roles in acclaimed stage productions, Shakespeare adaptations, and dramas like The Barchester Chronicles, Born and Bred, and Doctor Who. In film, he portrayed Sir Ector in Excalibur and appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy and David Lean's A Passage to India. Despite his many achievements, it was as Richard Bucket that Clive etched himself into British popular culture, embodying a man who, though perpetually steamrolled by his wife's ambitions, never lost his quiet dignity. He often received advice from fans urging him to stand up to the old cow, but Swift understood the subtle power in Richard's gentle resistance. In his later years, Clive also toured the UK with musical comedy shows like Richard Bucket Overflows, performing songs and poems of his own creation. Off-stage, he was a thoughtful and sometimes private man who wrote 2 respected books on acting, co-founded the Actors Centre in London, and taught at RADA and Lambda. He was married to novelist Margaret Drabble for 15 years, with whom he had 3 children, including the late Rebecca Swift, founder of the literary consultancy, and Jo Swift, a familiar face on BBC gardening programs. His death came less than 2 years after the heartbreaking loss of his daughter Rebecca in 2017. Upon his passing, tributes poured in, with co-star Patricia Routledge remembering him as a skillful and inventive actor and cherishing their joyful collaboration. Swift's ability to bring warmth, intelligence, and subtle humor to every role made him a true craftsman of his art. Though he often downplayed his fame, Clive Swift's legacy endures, not only through the many characters he brought to life, but especially through Richard Bucket, the quietly suffering husband whose sighs, sideways glances, and unwavering decency made him one of British television's most enduring comic figures. Josephine Tewson has passed away, and her death marks the loss of one of British television's most gentle and quietly brilliant comedic talents. She died peacefully on August 18, 2022, at the age of 91, at Denville Hall in London, a retirement home for actors and performers, where she spent her final days surrounded by dignity and care. But to millions of viewers around the world, she will always be remembered as Elizabeth Warden in Keeping Up Appearances, the sweet, soft-spoken, and constantly on-edge neighbor of Hyacinth Bucket. From 1990 to 1995, Josephine played the role of Liz with perfect restraint and impeccable timing, always trying to be polite, never quite knowing how to say no, and constantly spilling tea in fear of Hyacinth's chaotic social invitations. Her nervous smiles and helpless expressions became iconic, and she offered a beautiful contrast to Patricia Routledge's overbearing Hyacinth, grounding the comedy with warmth and realism. But that one role was only a small part of an extraordinary 65-year career. Born on February 26, 1931, in Hampstead, London, Josephine was an only child. Her father was a professional double bass player for the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and her mother was a nurse. After grammar school, she was accepted into RADA and graduated in 1952, beginning a long and steady career on stage and screen. She starred as Mrs. H in Shelley, played Jane Travers in Ronnie Barker's Clarence, and later appeared as the eccentric Miss Davenport in Last of the Summer Wine. She was a trusted comedic presence in shows like The Two Ronnies, The Dick Emery Show, Z-Cars, and many others. She had a long working relationship with Ronnie Barker, who admired her talent so much he wrote roles specifically for her. Though she was never loud or flashy, her performances were always deeply felt and utterly natural. In her personal life, she married actor Leonard Rossiter in 1958, but the marriage ended in divorce just a few years later. Her second husband, Henry Newman, died in 1980, and she never remarried. Despite her heartbreak, she remained gracious, private, and humble. In her later years, Josephine continued to perform, even launching a one-woman show called Still Keeping Up Appearances in 2012, which she toured into her late 80s. She had a quiet strength about her, never trying to outshine anyone, but always leaving her mark. Her ability to create laughter without exaggeration made her unique, and her portrayal of Liz is still beloved today because it felt so real. With Josephine Tewson's passing, the world didn't just lose a gifted actress. We lost a gentle soul, a woman who never demanded the spotlight, but who lit it up all the same. Her absence will be felt by anyone who ever smiled quietly at her nervous laugh or saw a bit of themselves in the sweet, nervous neighbor next door. Mary Millar, born Irene Mary Wetton on July 26, 1936 in Doncaster, Yorkshire, who passed away far too soon on November 10, 1998 at the age of 62, following a brave battle with ovarian cancer. To fans of British comedy, she was best known and dearly loved for her unforgettable role as the flirtatious, spirited, and romantically impulsive Rose in the BBC sitcom Keeping Up Appearances, which she played from 1991 until the show's end in 1995. As the second actress to portray Rose, Mary brought a uniquely effervescent charm to the character. Blonde, bold, and full of life, she was the perfect counterbalance to her uptight sister Hyacinth Bucket. Every entrance she made carried a mix of glamour and chaos, and Millar gave Rose a depth that allowed audiences to see both her vulnerability and her vivaciousness. But Mary's talents stretched far beyond sitcoms. She was a gifted stage actress and singer, having performed across television, West End musicals, and even Broadway. In 1960, she understudied Julie Andrews in Camelot on Broadway and would go on to originate the hauntingly poised role of Madame Giry in Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera, appearing on the original cast album and performing for 4 years. Her career was a masterclass in versatility, playing everything from Lydia Languish in All in Love to Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast at the Dominion Theatre, where her rendition of the show's love theme captivated audiences until illness forced her to step down in early 1998. Beyond the stage, Mary was a devout Christian who participated in gospel tours, recorded religious programming, and even traveled to Malawi to support charity work with World Vision. She was married to photographer Raphael Frame and had one daughter, Lucy, and despite her public success, she lived a life grounded in faith, family, and a love of performance. Her diagnosis came in January 1998, but even in her final days, her spirit never dimmed. When asked what she'd do at the gates of heaven, she quipped, "Rehearse for a part in the angelic choir, darling." She died peacefully at home in Brockley, London, with her beloved husband and daughter by her side. Her cremation took place at Golders Green Crematorium, and fittingly, the BBC aired a Keeping Up Appearances episode the following week dedicated to her memory. Mary Millar left behind a legacy of laughter, music, and unforgettable moments on stage and screen. Her portrayal of Rose was more than just a character. It was a celebration of life in all its romantic, messy, and passionate glory. We lost her far too soon, but her voice, her presence, and her talent live on in every performance she gave. Sue Lloyd, born Susan Marjorie Jefferson Lloyd on August 7, 1939, was a strikingly elegant and versatile English actress whose long and distinguished career in film and television made her a familiar face to British audiences for decades, including a memorable guest role in Keeping Up Appearances. She passed away from cancer on October 20, 2011, at the age of 72, leaving behind not only an impressive body of work but a life marked by grace, talent, and resilience. In Keeping Up Appearances, she appeared in the 1993 episode Let There Be Light as the refined and upper-class Mrs. Drummond. Perfectly cast as a woman of status, someone Hyacinth Bucket would desperately try to impress, bringing poise, subtle humor, and authenticity to the role in just a few minutes of screen time. Her presence elevated the scene, showing her trademark blend of charm and control that defined much of her career. Born in Aldburgh, Suffolk, the daughter of a GP, Sue initially trained in ballet at the prestigious Royal Ballet School, but shifted paths when she outgrew the typical dancer's frame, turning instead to modeling and acting. She first rose to fame in the 1960s, starring opposite Michael Caine in the Ipcress File as the sharp, intelligent Jean Cartney, and later became known for her lead role as secret agent Cordelia Winfield in The Baron, showcasing her ability to portray both glamorous and strong-willed women. Throughout the 60s and 70s, she made guest appearances in some of Britain's most iconic shows, including The Avengers, The Saint, Department S, Jason King, and The Persuaders, as well as appearing in films like Corruption, Revenge of the Pink Panther. In later years, she gained new popularity through her long-running role as Barbara Hunter in the soap Crossroads from 1979 to 1985, a role made even more poignant due to her real-life relationship with co-star Ronald Allen. After Allen's partner passed away, the two grew close, and in 1991, as Allen was diagnosed with terminal cancer, they married. He died just weeks later, and Sue carried herself with remarkable dignity through her grief. Her performance legacy was revisited in 2023 when she was portrayed in the ITVX miniseries Nolly, which explored the backstage world of Crossroads. Sue Lloyd's final years were spent away from the spotlight, but the sparkle she brought to the screen remains. Whether she was playing a secret agent, a society lady, or a soap matriarch, she brought elegance, intelligence, and quiet strength to every role. Her graceful exit from the world marked the loss of a truly classic presence in British entertainment, one that lives on in every rewatch, every character she so beautifully brought to life.